In this episode, we are hearing from Healthwatch Essex, who provide an abundance of support, services and research. We will take a brief tour of their history, find out more about the research they do, who it's for, who it helps, the results, and the fantastic work this has driven in the creation of lifeline services like the Essex Fellows Forum and the Expressions of Trauma exhibitions. While the national structure of the Healthwatch network is going to change after last year's DASH report, rest assured Healthwatch Essex's purpose has not changed and will continue to thrive.
The Healthwatch network came out of the Health and Social Care Act 2012. Healthwatch Essex started slightly earlier in Pathfinder format, very much under Essex County Council. But on the 1st of April 2013, the network of local health watches were born, 152 of them across the country, of which I'm pleased to say Healthwatch Essex was and remains one of the largest. We gained our statutory powers, which came out of the Health and Social Care Act, as I said, which enabled us to do things like enter and view into hospitals or healthcare settings. But we were really there to champion the voice of patients, of individuals and of citizens to ensure that they were able to have an influence and be heard in the massive health and social care system.
At Healthwatch Essex, we support people from across the county to share their views and lived experiences accessing health and care services. Anybody can get in touch with us to share feedback of using particular organisations or particular health and care services. They can also contact our information and guidance service for tailored support when it comes to accessing health and care. And we also have kind of tailored projects where people might be recruited based on living with a particular condition or a particular experience. We have a dedicated information and guidance service for anybody who's struggling to access health and care across Essex. It might be that someone doesn't know who to turn to for particular forms of support, or they might want to make a complaint about a health and care service that they've had that they're not happy with, but they're not sure how to kind of make that complaint or who to talk to about it. They can call, text, WhatsApp or email one of our information and guidance officers, and the service is open Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And on contacting our service, people receive tailored support in response to the problems that they might be facing. Our officers really do go out of their way to make sure that people get the support that they need. It's very much personalised to the individuals who reach out to us. Last year we supported 1,500 people who contacted our service directly, but our officers also do a huge amount of outreach, going along to different community organisations and events to make sure that those who might not know about our helpline are still able to get the help that they need.
So at Healthwatch Essex we do lots of different events where members of the public can find out more about what we do, and we raise awareness of lots of different things. So we have our trauma ambassador group, who are a group of people who all have lived experience of trauma, and they were all discussing how they use creative outlets and things to help manage their trauma journey. And they were thinking that actually maybe other people might do the same thing as them. So they decided to form an exhibition which was called the Expressions of Trauma, and over 130 artworks were submitted, and then they had the first exhibition at the Minories in Colchester, and over 2,000 people came to that first month-long exhibition. Following on from that, we've had exhibitions in Romford, Jaywick, Ipswich, Wivenhoe and Harwich, and visitors to the exhibitions have all said how much greater understanding they have of trauma after going to these exhibitions, and the artists themselves have said that they feel more understood, they feel part of a community, and feel that they've had their voices heard.
Essentially, grief comes generally from loss, and loss is the end of and destruction of something in your life, and art is the creation of new things, and new things give you hope. So a great way to have your life start turning away from grief and trauma is to create art. And when you see art around you that you've made, you're looking at a new creation, and that's hope. And that's when you see hope, that's the first glimpses of surviving grief and trauma.
So in 2013, when we started, we've developed over the following years. Some of those local health watches became community interest companies or social enterprises. Some merged to cover a larger area, but Healthwatch Essex remained a charity throughout. And we have always been a little bit maverick from the very start. I was a volunteer with Healthwatch Essex before I took on the post of CEO. And during that time, we had a wonderful leader called Tom, who was a very young CEO and was very open to trying things differently. The thing that I'm most proud of with Healthwatch Essex is that we have always pushed the boundaries and we have always tried to do things a little bit differently. I have a very diverse team. The youngest is 18, the oldest is significantly older than that. And that brings a whole wealth of experience. And we have a network of incredible volunteers who bring a lot to that. And will challenge us and will hold us to account and will say, can we try this a little bit different? Bear with me, I've got a crazy idea. And it's those ideas that are always the ones that work out the best.
So a few years ago we did a series of reports all about men's health or on topics that touched on men's health. So we did a report about middle-aged men's experiences with mental health and suicide, and then projects on addiction and what matters to veterans. And following those reports, we realised that there needs to be safe spaces for men to talk about their health and well-being in a space that felt comfortable for them. So from that, we introduced our Colchester Essex Fellows Forum.
We do a lot of work in regards to men's health and wellbeing. So we've been doing it for the last couple of years. It started off with, we introduced some fellas forums, which are basically monthly meetups for guys in a very relaxed environment. So it might be fishing, walking, bowling, pool, darts, that sort of thing. Basically, we're trying to encourage them to talk. So a lot of the reports we've done previously to implement the forum was discovered that basically men don't open up, don't talk about their health and well-being, and we really wanted to try and change that through the implementation of the forums. Yeah, so because of the success of the forums, you know, and the impact that it had on the men of Colchester, we then got commissioned by the Mid and South NHS to produce some events. So what we've done is we centred those events around sporting activity where we knew there'd be a huge footfall of men. So we've had events at Braintree Town, Heybridge Swiss Football Club, Essex County Cricket, Holbridge Sports Centre, basically again with the aim of getting men to open up and talk. So at these events in sporting locations, we would have all of our stakeholders there, so the Essex Wellbeing Service, Mind, all manner of organisations would be there, CHAPS, Robin Cancer Trust, Active Essex, would all be there basically to show the support and show that the help that's out there for men and raise that awareness. So they worked really, really well, got great feedback from that. And then we started to implement the comedy nights, which we're here tonight for. The thing we love about the comedy nights, this is our third one tonight. So we've done one in Chelmsford, one at the House of Empire, and then we're revisiting the House of Empire, and we're doing that one for Braintree District Council, so they've commissioned us to do it. And the thing we find with the comedy events especially is that by having a big backdrop, you know, having the videos, having lived experience, people talking about their journeys and how they opened up and talked and found that support, we find that the men and women, but they're sitting in the audience and they're taking it in and they're soaking that information in. So through the videos, then we have lived experience talks on stage, again talking about their journeys, about the support they got and the outcome of that, and then it turns into a comedy night, and then we have sort of a couple of hours of quite good level comedians. And it's just a lovely night. There's little gaps in between the comedians performing, and that enables people in the audience, if they have heard something that has made them think, whether it be about themselves or a family member or a friend, they can come and talk to the Healthwatch Essex staff, and we can help signpost them to get further support. At the end of tonight, we give out little goodie bags, so we've got over 25 partners have given us information leaflets and things like that. So again, if they go home and they're sitting there thinking, I think actually, yeah, that talk on stage actually really resonated with me, there'll be some information within that bag that they can then go and get some further support. So Yeah, really exciting journey it's been over the last couple of years. Really excited that the forums have gathered such pace now that we're not just doing them in Colchester, we're doing them in Braintree and Harlow as well. So they're really, really working well. One of the best things about it is it's enabling partnership working. So the main aim of everything that we're doing is to pull all the support that's there for men's health and wellbeing. So when you think of organisations like Men's Sheds, Andy's Man Club, Man Cave, it's pulling them all together. So basically you're given a suite of options for guys, you know, so if they're not into physical activity, like what the forums are like I say, pool, darts, that sort of thing, if they're not into that, but they like fixing things, we'll signpost them to the Shed. You know, if they want just a more generalised sitting around talking, Andy's Man Club might be the one that they would need to go to. So it's really collaborating with all those partners to just give more options to men to open up and talk about, you know, how they may be feeling or their physical health in general.
Every year we hold an annual event, an evening with Healthwatch Essex, and this is an opportunity for us to shine a light on all of the projects we've done over the past year and to raise greater awareness of the topics and the impact of the work that we've done. So each of our teams will present on a topic that they've done over the past year. It's also a great opportunity for us to showcase performances from our volunteers or people we've worked with. So we like to have performances. So last year we had one of our trauma ambassadors perform a song, and the year before we had a storytelling drag queen. We also like to have things on display, such as artworks from our Expressions of Trauma exhibition, or photo voice images from one of our previous projects. It's a great opportunity for us to network and to share the importance of lived experience and listen to people's voices.
I've had a lot of highlights in the past 5.5 years since I've been CEO, but I've also had a lot of highlights when I've just been involved in the charity. I think a couple of the projects I'm most proud of is our trauma work. We've been able to put on exhibitions from incredible artwork that people have created, some who were established artists and some who had never put pen to paper or paintbrush before. We've now been able to create a film with some of those ambassadors. We were shortlisted for a Smiley Award for one of the films, which helped people who had experienced trauma have cervical screening. So it explained all of the things that were involved. It spoke in a really everyday language. The other thing that I think we do incredibly well, and this is down to having a fantastic research team led by quite a young leader, is every time we do a piece of research, we create multiple outputs. I've got a wonderful comms team who don't just think this is academic research for an academic audience. They think, how's this going to be used in real life? How can I make this accessible for the audience who can make change? How can I inform the public of what we're learning from this? So we do everything from social media takeovers to podcasts and videos, right the way through to peer-reviewed academic journal articles, presentations and reports. It's that doing things differently that is why Healthwatch is such a joy to work for.
We have lots of opportunities for people to volunteer with us, and in general people get involved with us because they have a particular experience or interest, and so a lot of our ambassador groups are shaped around those experiences. So just to give you a flavour of some of the things that we do, we have a trauma ambassador group. Everyone who's in that group has experienced trauma in some way, so they have a very unique perspective on life and on health and social care, so they really are very valuable to us in helping us to understand what their experiences are like, because they're so different to many other people's experiences. Likewise, we've got young mental health ambassadors. They're all young people who've experienced mental health services in Essex. And so, like anything really, it's important that we make sure that we put the people who are using services right at the centre of them and make sure that they have a say in how they're shaped. Yeah, so you can volunteer with us, but you can also have your say in lots of other ways. If you go onto our website, you'll be able to pick up the phone and speak to a member of our information and guidance team. You can fill out a form and share your story online, or you can be involved in any number of different projects that we have running at any given point in time, and that might mean being part of a focus group. It might mean speaking one-to-one to somebody about your experiences. So there's a whole range of different ways that you can have your voice heard depending on what you're comfortable with. So I'd encourage people to go onto the website and have a look at all the opportunities on there.
We we run a whole host of dedicated research engagement projects on topics really relevant to Essex residents. We'll work across our teams and with partner organisations to understand what issues we should be focusing on, and then we'll apply a range of different methods to support people to share those experiences on those topics. So it might be that we run surveys, we do one-to-one interviews, focus groups. We're also branching out into creative methods like collaging, storyboarding and photo voice so that people can share their experiences in diverse ways. Topics we focused on recently include women's experiences of multiple long-term conditions, the impact that changes to ADHD medication and how it's prescribed, how that's affected Essex residents. We've also looked at how mould in social and rental properties has impacted people's health and well-being. And we've also focused on the health and care needs of people in the sex work industry, which has again been a really valuable and important topic.
So we try to be as creative as possible in all the different ways that we make information accessible and how we connect with people. So we're on pretty much every social media platform going. So you can connect with us on Instagram, on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, formerly known as Twitter, and we're on TikTok as well. And we also have a monthly podcast where you can tune in and listen to a different person's experience every month. So there's plenty of ways to kind of listen in to what we're doing and be involved. We also have a newsletter that you can sign up to, and it's really valuable for us to know that people are following those channels and are able to reshare that content, because even if it's not relevant to you, there might be somebody in your community who could really benefit from seeing or hearing some of the stuff that we're sharing.
Once we've captured all the lived experiences and data that we need to, we then make sure that we promote that evidence as widely as possible. We might do that by producing reports. We also do accessible creative outputs like zines or poster campaigns. And then we work with a range of different commissioners and healthcare services, often supporting them in partnership to apply the recommendations that our participants have shared with us, just to make sure that we drive that improvement. People really value getting involved in our project, not only because they know that in sharing their experiences with us, they're helping to generate positive changes across the health and care system, but often those people who share their stories with us just haven't felt listened to when accessing health and care. We often receive feedback where people have just valued having that space in a research interview, for example, to talk for 2 hours about some of the issues that they've been facing. And I think often that can be just as important as the outputs that we produce in terms of the impact that we generate and the support that we offer people. Healthwatch Essex are all about making research, the evidence and the data that we capture as accessible as possible. And one way that we do that is through our Research Ambassador Network. The Research Ambassadors are open to anybody with an interest in health and care research and how that's conducted in a charity setting. We've been able to recruit people from a whole range of backgrounds to get involved, be they people that work in other charities, postgraduate and undergraduate students, lived experience researchers, so people who are really keen to draw on their own experiences to conduct research, as well as people working for local authorities and academics. We now have around 46 research ambassadors, and we meet regularly to hear about upcoming and emerging research. We also do training on a range of different research methods. And we support people to kindly volunteer on our research projects as well. So some of our ambassadors might help out with our data analysis and share their own views on what they think about the experiences that people have shared with us. And this is so valuable for us as a team because it actually means that our analysis isn't just based on what we think and our own experiences, but a whole range of people's perspectives. And that does an awful lot to make sure that our research is that bit more rigorous and that bit more impactful.
So our team do a lot of engagement and outreach. They're constantly at events across the county. So they might be at GPs, at doctors' surgeries, supermarkets, anywhere people would go basically. Community groups, you name it, they're there. And so to make that outreach easier, this past year we've introduced a new van to our team. So this enables our team to go out in all weathers to reach more rural areas of the county. It's a private, confidential space for the team to be able to pull people inside and give them that one-to-one support. It's also enabled us to take on new projects, such as our slipper swaps, where people can be provided with slippers that prevent them from falls. and our winter wraparound events where people are given knitted goods, so blankets, scarves, hats, gloves. It's basically been a great new addition to the team and able to do so much more great work.
So this is a really interesting time in health and social care, and a particularly interesting time for Healthwatch Essex. As you will probably have read, we've had a 10-year strategy from West Streeting, and one of the things that have come out of that is a move to more digital and preventative services. But in that, they have decided to cut Healthwatch England and the local Healthwatch networks. Healthwatch Essex have been proactive in diversifying income streams over the last few years and looking at different ways at working with partners. Information that's come out of the DASH review, unfortunately, has stopped a lot of patient voice organisations progressing. But this means we've got a chance to stop, pause and reflect and see, what do our community need from us? What does health and social care locally and further afield need from us? What do we do really well that we can build on, and what do we no longer need to do? And we're having an exciting rebrand, so please do watch this space for the brand new version of Healthwatch 2.0. That will not be its name, I hasten to add. We'll find something a bit more catchy. But we're currently engaging with our stakeholders, our community, our citizens, so we can be really fit for purpose and continuing to champion patient voice and make change happen, just under a different guise.